Hi, Katie and Jason. So this month, not really a challenge, but the thing that we chose to do was Tangine. And one of the things that we talked about was, do we have to have an actual Tangine receptacle, which for those of you that don't know, it's a flat bowl type of thing, round, and then it's got this conical shape.
They know, they've priced them.
I know, but maybe somebody else will watch this. Yeah. Anyway, we did a little bit of research, and Tangine is really more about the flavors. It's a Moroccan dish, and the way that the Tangine cooks it, which works very well in a Dutch oven, a crock pot, a slow cooker, and holding the steam in. So you want something with a really good tight lid so you can hold the steam in, and everything is nice and moist as it cooks. We're doing a recipe that we have done before, but we absolutely love it, and it's a Moroccan fish tangine, and we're using a recipe from Cook's Illustrated. So it's for 2 people. It calls for cod, which we originally did when we made this dish, but we don't have any cod in the freezer anymore, so we're using a Vietnamese swai, which is similar to a tilapia. So that's what we're going to use. It's a little bit thinner, so we won't need to cook the fish quite so long.
And cod nowadays is what, $69.95 a pound?
Yeah, in fact, is it cod or haddock? Yep, cod fillets. And normally our next door neighbor, I don't know if you ever met him, he gives us, during fishing season, lots and lots of cod fillets, but we've gone through them already. So, and on what we're going to do with as our side dish, Bill has prepared.
We have been, since late July, doing a keto diet. It started out with us doing a keto diet, and it basically has morphed into simply watching the amount of carbs we eat. Now, you probably can't tell because I still have retained my midsection, but I've dropped, depending on the day, close to 30 pounds.
25 for me, so I had to buy Bill a special tool to reduce his belt size.
It's a leather punch, so that I think I'm going to have to move on the next day or two to new belt hole number 4. If that...
Whoop, whoop, whoop. So now we're really just...
Anyway, I didn't get to the whole point of the keto
sorry.
thing. We're doing cauliflower rice, which I pulse, cut it into florets, pulse it in the food processor, mix it with some avocado oil and a little salt, and put on a baking sheet and bake it. Many recipes call for doing it in a pan to release the moisture, but I've stumbled on this one recipe where the cook, she may be a chef or person writing the recipe, said she liked to roast it because it still kind of takes on the texture of rice and the flavor of roasted cauliflower, which I don't know if you've done that, but roasted cauliflower is yet another one of our favorite dishes. And so we're having a delicious gourmet meal that is also low carb.
Yes, and the dessert that I did when we did our dessert month, that I've been doing forever, and I know how to make it, without even looking at a recipe, I just get it done. I have converted that to a low carb, so rather than a flour butter crust, it's almond flour, butter, and we use monk fruit sweetener, and then I use no sugar puddings, and I make my own whipped cream instead of using the Cool Whip, and so all of that is low carb, everything that I use for that. And the other layer was a cream cheese with some sugar, so again I use low carb sugar that doesn't spike your blood sugar, which has helped Bill a lot. So he's had some really good luck with lower blood sugar, lower blood pressure with this. Anything else, sir, before we move on?
We are ready to move on. Are you going to demonstrate the...
Yes, I am.
Okay, as the time comes?
Yes.
Okay.
So the first thing that we did was we took the fish out, and defrosted it and Bill salted it. It calls for salting just to tighten it up and hold moisture in. And then you make a charmula, which is a bunch of really delicious fragrant spices. It's salt, cilantro, garlic, ground cumin, paprika, cayenne, lemon juice, and some olive oil. And you, which I did over here. I'll be right back. You, sorry about that, you put it into a food processor or something and pulse it. It's not a lot, because this, remember, we're making it for 2 people. And it's a really nice, flavorful outer coating that you put on the fish, and you really don't even have to leave it on for very long. So you're going to put it on all over it, and when you start to saute all the vegetables, then you'll let that sit during that time, and that's really all it takes. This recipe is, to me, very easy, not super labor intensive, but the flavors are amazing. It's onion, carrot, bell pepper. You use canned tomatoes, or you could use fresh, but the recipe calls for canned tomatoes. Mix together your charmula. And then the other 2 things that really make it a Moroccan flavor that you're used to having is quartered olives, green olives. So we did 3 tablespoons of that. And then the other thing that we really love is preserved lemons. And we actually make our own. They're very expensive. They're generally made from Meyer lemons, which are a little bit sweeter than a regular lemon. And you can see, I'll show you another batch that we've done. But it's if you can see through this, it's a little bit of an orangey yellow. Oh, there goes somebody walking down the street. And then what you do is you quarter the lemons and you pack them full of salt. This is just like, in a way, it's like making sauerkraut, when you take the cabbage and you slice it up and then you put a lot of salt and you massage the salt in and you pack it in salt. This is really the same idea. It's a fermentation, and it goes, depending on the time of year, it goes for about 6 weeks on the counter, and then we put it in the fridge and use it as we go, and we actually put it in all kinds of things. Meyer lemons have a very short season up here, and so if we don't get them immediately, then we're out. So we are doing, and you can do it with regular lemons, but you can see the difference in the color. The other difference is Meyer lemons have a much thinner peel, and the peel is all you're going to use. So these take a little bit longer, the regular lemons, to preserve, and the flavor will be a little bit different. A lot of online recipes tell you to add a little bit of sugar to sort of mimic, but we didn't want to do that. So I was just going to show you what they look like, and excuse me again, I'm going to grab. So when you're working with these, they're going to be really, really salty. And the lemon itself, this is the skin side, this is the inside. And you can see how thick and syrupy it is. All you want to use is the skin. You don't want any of the interior, you don't want any of the pulp, and you don't want any of the, what do they call this on the skin?
Zest?
No, the zest is the skin.
The rind?
No.
I give up.
Anyway, we'll just skip that for now till it pops in my head. So the other thing is you want to rinse it to try to get off as much of the salt as you can. It's going to be a salty dish anyway with the olives. And then we're going to chop it up really finely, and I think it calls for 2 tablespoons. We always throw a little bit extra in. And in the past when we've made this dish, we've even thrown it into the rice to give it, we love the flavor. So what you're going to do, we're going to pause for a minute, reposition the camera so you can see how we take care of getting these ready for our dish. Okay, I wanted to just show you how we take care of the preserved lemon, and once I do that, we're going to pause and reposition again, and we'll get started cooking. So I've pulled out the pulp, the interior of the lemon, and I've rinsed them in cold water. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of scrape off as much of the rest of this interior as I can, and you see how that's kind of showing just the lemon, just the skin, the rind, whatever other words we can come up with. So you want to clean that off as good as you can. And in this recipe it calls for a tablespoon of finely chopped preserved lemon. And it's not a big deal, you know, flavor-wise, if you get a little bit of this pithy stuff still in it. It's just that it's kind of a little extra salt that you don't want. And then all I'm going to do is chop it really, really, really fine. And I'm going to do that till I get a tablespoon, and I'm going to cheat and probably do a lot more than that because it's our favorite flavor in this dish. We'll be right back. So we're going to saute up the onions, bell pepper, and carrots until they're kind of soft, and then we'll add the tomatoes, the olives, and the preserved lemon. And then I've already put the charmula on the fish so that it can just sort of sit there and mingle for a few minutes. And once we get the vegetables done and the other ingredients in the pan, we're going to put the fish on top, and the fish is going to just kind of lay on top. You've got a bed of all these other things going, and we're going to cover it. And this is sort of what the tangine pot would do at this point. We're going to cover it and let it cook over heat for about 3 minutes or so, and then we'll pull it off the heat and put the lid on. And we have a nice tight lid, except for the skillet has these little bump outs here. So I'm just going to use a piece of foil to kind of tighten that down, because we want to keep the heat and the steam inside the pan, and that sort of while it sort of cheats the system, because of course the tangine pot is really much better, we're cooking something that doesn't require a lot of time to cook. The fish takes just a few minutes, so that's how we're gonna make this a tangine. And so we'll be back. Okay, so it only took a few minutes to get the vegetables where we want them. These are probably gonna be a little bit crunchier than we usually eat them. My mouth is watering, so I wasn't being very patient. This is the swai that I was talking about, which is a Vietnamese tilapia, and I'm just going to lay this on top of the vegetables. And these vegetables are going to, and I might add a little bit more of the tomato juice, the juice from the diced tomatoes. I think I'll add a little more of that. And just layer on the fish. And I'm going to let that sit with the lid on for about 3 to 5 minutes. And then we're going to pull it off for another 3 to 5 minutes until the fish is kind of opaque. And once that occurs, we're ready to plate up, as long as Bill's side dish is ready. And then we finish it off with just some chopped cilantro. We'll see you in a few.
Here I am. This is the part you've been waiting for, I'm sure. We have our fish tangine. Since I've had my eyes done, this new turn of events is I need readers to eat. So I have this attractive pair that are secondhand from the lovely lady. Here's your cauliflower rice with your fish tangine. I'm going to sample. I could go with this. Very good. Try the fish itself. very moist and flaky, which is a good thing to have in a fish. It's very, very good. It's not salty in any way. You would think from those preserved lemons, and trust me, those are super duper salty. It's just the right amount of seasoning for the dish. This is wonderful. I'm sure that there'll be enough for Jeri to have some as well. I like to point out, folks, that not only is Jeri a remarkably talented cook in all cultures, she made some new cloth napkins.
Oh boy.
Some of our old cloth napkins were really not even, almost not even acceptable for the rag bag. So Jeri picked up some material.
Okay, thank you, dear.
Did a very nice job on it.
I appreciate that. All right, you guys, we love you. We miss you. Looking forward to seeing you in May if you make it out here. And we're going to end this video, and I'm going to sit down and eat and enjoy. I'm going to post a recipe for making your own preserved lemons at the bottom of the video, and either a link or the recipe to what we just had. Love you guys.
Bye.